Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. We've seen therapy before using water, right? Hydrotherapy, it's fantastic. If you have an injury, doing some PT, whatever it might be. For humans, of course, it's available for dogs and can be just a game changer in their health, but also their exercise as well. And for that, there's a coach. Yes, a canine swim coach for your dog. I didn't even know that existed. Why do we need to get them into the water? How do we get them into the water? Erica Etchason joins us here on the program today. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
I learned so much last time we got together, and even about how you can do your dog's nails using a Dremel tool, which we'll talk about again in a few minutes. But that was a mind blow for me. And it was like, duh, why couldn't you use it? You know, it's such a very versatile tool for um, buffing and cutting and things like that. But the swimming part, so you have a facility that's got a pool and you do
Mhm.
hydrotherapy. Tell us, recap that for just a moment.
So I have an in-ground pool and I have an underwater treadmill. And depending on the dog, depending on an injury, depending on what the owner's goals are, would depend on what we would use. Um, and if a owner's wanting to teach their dog how to swim, the type of water you would use, the type of pool you would use, all of
Hmm.
those things would be different, depending on what your goal is. So that's kind of our business. Somebody will come into our business. They want to do some type of water therapy, or they want their dog to swim with us, and then we talk to them. They answer a bunch of questions, and then we start putting a training plan together, and we start executing it.
Why is it so impactful, hydrotherapy for dogs?
So the basis is water takes 90% of the weight off of your joints.
Hmm.
So that's why it's a great activity for senior dogs. It's a great activity for injured dogs. It's a great activity for recovery, and it's a great activity for conditioning.
So would you just introduce your dog to water just because?
I would. So I really recommend to people, especially if they've got new dogs or young dogs, if people say, "Hey, I got a puppy, when can I start my dog in water?" And I would say 12 weeks. I would want to see your dog doing some type of water introduction at 12 weeks.
Wow.
Um, Water is like it's one of the most fearful environments for dogs. And it's usually because their feet are off the ground. Dogs are going to panic, right? If their feet come off the ground and they don't understand why their feet are off the ground, they panic. So we want dogs to really like water. Water is a novel environment. It's hard to introduce them to that, so they may fear it at the beginning. So we want to introduce it as early as possible. And I'll tell people, even if you don't want your dog to swim, or even if you don't have a swimming breed, introducing your dog to water can be helpful, because if your dog has an injury, if your dog gets older, and you want to put them into an underwater treadmill, if they're scared of water, you have to get over that first before you can even tackle the injury.
Interestingly, the perception is all dogs pretty much love water. You see them swimming, they're all happy, they're catching the ball when you're at the beach, and then you think, well, I just throw my dog in the water, or, maybe carefully, but they'll acclimate and everything will be great. Not really the reality, would you say?
No. So we have people that will come to us. They've done that, right? Like they've either put their dog in the water, or a lot of times dogs will fall into pools. So people will kind of be out with their family, their dogs are out, and then all of a sudden their dog's in the pool. No one was prepared for that, and they pull their dog out of the water. And
Hmm.
now they come to us and they go, "My dog won't go near the pool. My dog won't go near the door towards the pool. My dog will not come out with us anymore." And so it was traumatic for the dog, and now they're scared of that environment. So if you can do it in a controlled setting, you've got a plan, you're prepared, then you can introduce your dog to water, and they're not going to necessarily be like, oh, that was terrible, I'm not doing that again.
Is it as easy as, let's say you're at the beach or a pool and you kind of just walk them in the shallow end and just get their literally and figuratively get their feet wet?
Um, some breeds, I mean, definitely there are some breeds. You're going to go out to the beach, you're going to be there, your dog may go in, they may start swimming, and they may be like, that is the best thing they've ever done. That is, I'm going to say, the lowest percentage of a dog that would do that. There's some dogs that that's going to happen, but that's not going to be the majority of our pet owners. Some things to think about is I always tell the owners, if you want to kind of go to the beach or go to a lake, or you've got a summer activity and you want to do this, look for a easy entry so that you can walk in with your dog, so that you can do it with your dog. Your dog will be less scared, and you're going to kind of show your dog the way. So you're going to walk with them, you're going to walk side to side. And I would use food. I would give them treats for doing that with you so that they want to keep doing it. And if they get a little scared, they may still want to keep trying because there's a reason for them to keep trying. They're going to get a little treat to do that. So that's kind of the basic thing I tell people is go in with your dog, put on some water shoes, put on some shorts, walk in with your dog. Don't go straight in, try to go at an angle or back and forth, have some treats. And then the third thing I tell people is I would use a life jacket on your dog 100% of the time if you're going to teach them how to swim.
Wow. Wow. Tell us about that. And at what point do you take the jacket off?
So we would take the jacket off. There are some breeds I would never take the jacket off.
Ah,
Like short muzzle breeds, heavy chested breeds, non-traditional swimming breeds. I don't know if I would ever take it off. It just depends on the dog. But for most dogs, I would take it off as soon as they're confident swimming. As soon as they're going out and back on their own, they're confident, they
hmm.
love it, then I would take the jacket off. And we do that a lot in our business. Well, we've our recreational swimmers, they don't swim with jackets on most of the time. If I've got a dog that's older, or if a dog's going to swim for a long period of time, like if you want to kayak with your dog, I would keep the life jacket on them. It's safe. You've got a handle. You can grab
Smart.
them. And if they get tired, you've got a shot at getting them out of that water and getting a hold of them. So when I'm thinking about a life jacket for a dog, one of the things most people are surprised about is I actually want my life jacket to be short, not long. So that's probably the big myth buster for life jackets in my industry is everybody thinks it should cover the entire dog, but you never want the life jacket to go past the last rib because you want their back end to move. So if I've got a jacket that's covered the entire dog, they can't move. You basically put them in a straight jacket and now
Wow.
they can't move.
Wow. Yeah. It goes against everything that we're thinking, just like every dog loves water.
Yeah.
That's this is like we're myth busting here today. Doggy swimming myth busting. And certainly
Sure.
makes sense that we would think intuitively that the jacket should be long to cover them, more buoyancy, but not the case. They got to move. And even a shorter jacket will be just as good. They're going to get what they need in terms of safety out of it.
Yep, for sure. And I like to use a jacket when I'm introducing a dog to swim because what happens is once the dog comes off the ground, right, their feet are they're starting to get buoyant, their feet are coming off the ground, they panic a little bit, right? If they don't have a jacket on, they're going to sink. They're going to sink a little bit, and that scares them. The life jacket gives them a little bit of buoyancy, and it gives them a little bit of time for them to collect themselves and move their legs because they have to figure out how fast to move their legs to keep them afloat. And the jacket gives them time to do that.
Just like a human.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like you have an adult that doesn't know how to swim. The
Mhm.
jacket's going to do the same exact thing.
Yep.
How interesting. Wow. Wow. Learning a lot today. This is definitely an eye opener. And you've built your life's work around doing just this in terms of dog swimming, the rehab. Do you have people that just come in that want to acclimate their dog to water, don't feel like going to the beach or the pool, and they come into your pool?
Yes. I mean, there's definitely people that, let's say they have a breed that doesn't love water. Um, they will just come just to have us help them get their dog through that fear, for the reason that if ever they want to use hydrotherapy in the future, they want their dog to be less scared doing that experience. So they'll kind of tackle it before they have to.
Sure. Tell us about the rehab that takes place at your facility with hydrotherapy and canines.
So what we do is we usually do like an evaluation, and during that evaluation, we measure the muscles so that we can track it. Um, we put all of our injured dogs on a high-powered PEMF pad. So it's a high frequency, and it's basically it's a good recovery tool. It's basically making their blood go faster so that we're able to put the blood in areas that need recovery. So that's kind of what a PMF pad will do. We give them at-home exercises so that they can start doing things at home, like weight shifting, that sort of thing.
Now, how do you do
And
that? Are you telling their person, owner, um, what to do, how to move them?
yes, yes,
Okay,
exactly.
cool.
And even kind of what tools to use. Like, um, if you don't want to buy equipment, you could use like sofa cushions. Let your dog stand on sofa cushions because, right, that's unstable.
Mm,
And putting your dog on an unstable surface lets them shift their weight so that they're using all four limbs, instead of compensating on a limb that's injured, right? We want
wow.
them to start using the injured limb. And to do that, we usually have to put them on some unstable surfaces, but you don't want it to be too unstable, right? You have to kind of work up to it. So we walk the owner through that process. We give them exercises, and each week their exercises may get a little more complicated, or maybe more reps or longer duration, and that's all part of the process. And then we introduce the dog to the treadmill. So in the first, and we do things as we try to keep the stress very low. So we're going to do things. We're not just going to throw the dog into the treadmill and put the water in. We're going to probably first introduce the dog to the treadmill. We're going to let them go in and out of that treadmill with it being dry. We're like, hey, look, go into this thing, eat some cookies, come out of the thing, eat some cookies, right? And if the dog does well with that, then we're going to put the dog into the treadmill, and we're going to close the door. We're going to let the owner feed some more cookies. If that all goes well, then we'll start putting water in the machine. So we go through steps, and depending on how the dog does, would kind of depend how fast or slow we acclimate the dog to the machine.
What's your therapy background in all of this?
I'm a dog trainer. I'm actually not a therapist, rehab therapist. I have worked with many people. So I've observed a lot of people. I've worked for vets. I've um, taken some classes, and I've had mentors and things like that that have helped me. Um, so that's just me. But people that I have hired, I've actually they've had fitness certification classes and that sort of thing. So the people that are doing the evaluations for the injured dogs have actually more experience than me. So my employees now are much more experienced than I am. Um, and then for most of the people that introduce our dogs to water, those are dog trainers. I like to have certified dog trainers in my business for the same reason. I want them to have some background, understand learning theory and that sort of thing. So that's kind of our experience. And then the other thing is, I actually do have rehab vets and rehab practitioners, people that are certified, do it for a living, come to my facility for our clients so that they can help us.
And you're just not a dog lover.
What?
You're just not a dog lover.
What
It's
do you mean?
clear.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's isn't there just something special about the love of a dog? You know, the
Oh,
connection, the human
yes.
connection
Yes.
with a canine.
Yes.
It's it's almost indescribable.
Yeah, and it's, that's how it kind of all started for me is I used to swim with my dogs. So I would be in the water swimming with my dogs next to me. My dogs would actually swim next to me. And I just love that. I mean, I would look over and I'd be swimming and they're right there just swimming with me. It's one of the only times you're at the same level with your dog. Like you and your dog are at the exact same level, looking eye to eye, doing an activity together. So it's very cool.
You know, I never thought of it that way. Wow. Because I want to do stuff with my dog. And a lot of times, we're time challenged and depending on where you live, maybe you can't open the back door and let them run, whatever. But I never thought about the swimming thing. You're doing it with them. It's interactive. You're at eye to eye, which, as I've learned, my dog now is like 6 years old. But when I first got him, I knew he was the right dog. I was able to, rub his belly and it was all good. But I don't know what the deal was. He would bark at me, and it was only me. I don't know, it was a male. I got him as a puppy, but what did I do? Crawl on my fours, show him that, I'm part of the pack, and that, he
Yeah.
got over that, and it was all good. But I never thought of that from the dog level, the eye level, and swimming
Yes.
with them. Yeah.
So
Wow.
so dogs, one reason dogs jump up is because they're really trying to engage you. Dogs want to look at your face, they want to see your eyes, like that's what they're trying to do. And so they're actually when they're jumping up almost most of the time, they're not trying to do anything mean or bad. They're actually just wanting to be at that same level with you.
Wow. Wow. I never thought of that either. I just thought a dog could be hyper, maybe wants to, lick you, your face or whatever it might be, but that makes total sense. Um, what do you, and we digression here, but now that you said that, curious about this energy and animals. And side note, we're all energy. Everything is energy. The tree is
Yeah.
energy, the chair, the dog, different vibrations and such. And I believe that when a dog comes in from the outside and they do the shake for a split second, I always thought, his fur is matted. He's got the outside fur. And no, he's shaking off his energy from the
Yes.
outside.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So another good example of when you see a dog shake, right? It is really how they balance themselves. So if you have a dog that's stressed, all right? So they're kind of in a stressful situation, and then you kind of see them leave the situation, whether they back up, turn, whatever.
Hmm.
And if you just kind of wait for a second or two, you may see the dog shake. The dog is shaking that stress off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once they shake that stress off, they'll try to come back and do it again. They'll try to, conquer it. But they sometimes just need that time to shake it off, regroup.
Yeah.
And and as humans, we just have to be patient. And if we're patient and we start kind of observing some of these things, you can really help your dog navigate the human world with you.
For sure. And it's even the shaking from the outside to the in. My dog, I would say 90% of the time does it. And I view it as a transition. We're transitioning
Mhm.
from here to
Yes.
there. He doesn't do it when he goes outside, though, from the inside to the outside. I don't know why. I'm thinking about it. I don't know what it is incoming, vice versa. But it's fascinating when look at it this way. We all talk about being grounded. You should be grounded, get out in nature. It's so
Mhm.
beneficial um, mentally and everything involved. Who better to be grounded than your dog?
Yes.
They're always touching the floor. They're touching the ground. There's no shoes
Hmm.
on. They got to
Yes.
be so, and they have to be the best readers of energy out of anywhere.
Hmm.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
would make sense that, you have a, guest come over and the dog's like, I'm not happy with this one. They're picking up on something, whatever that
Hmm.
something is.
Right.
Very
Right.
interesting. Um, let's pivot over to your Dremel coaching offerings. None of us really want to touch our dog's nails. We're afraid of it. Am I going to do it right? Am I going to make it bleed? All of that. You teach a course so that we can do it. And using a Dremel tool, side note for anybody that doesn't know, it's basically a craft tool where you can buy it. It spins very fast revolutions. You put pieces on it, attachments, and you can cut things,
Hmm.
buff things, sand things, including nails. Never even
Yes.
thought of that. But this is a course that you offer. Why did you decide to do this?
So, in the swim business, I noticed that a lot of our clients, I would, we're doing, I'm evaluating them and I see the dog and I look at the gait and the whole thing. And I noticed a lot of their dog's nails were long. And so I started asking, our clients, why are your dog's nails so long? Like, why can you not maintain your dog's nails? What's the obstacle? What's the challenge? And a lot of them will say, there's a range, right? It's time. Their dog won't allow them to do it. They have to take them somewhere. So then they have to schedule an appointment, put them in the car, take them somewhere. And so there was these obstacles around them, either they were afraid to do it or the dog wouldn't let them do it. So I started thinking about, well, how can I help these people do their dog's nails? Um, and so I started kind of putting the course together and started offering it because it's so important for our dog's nails to be short. Um,
Mm.
Again, I'm in a business where we monitor dogs' gait all the time. We look at how dogs move all the time, hundreds of dogs every week. And if your dog's nails are long, they are not going to move correctly. And so then you're going to have other injuries. Nails get ripped off in everyday life. If we're not even talking about all the other things, just if your dogs are too long, they're going to get injured doing things.
Oof.
So it's just really important. It's kind of that foundation. Their nails and their feet is the foundation to everything.
You said it last time, and now I'm seeing it this time even more, how important it is to make sure that their nails are trimmed. They're going to be off balance. Look at a horse.
Hmm.
Their
Yeah.
shoes are so important. Their hooves, it's so important. Everything rests on that, all that
Hmm.
pressure,
Yeah.
and there's different pressure on each one, and that also changes too, depending on the condition of the animal. Wow. Um, you have it was it two locations in New Jersey?
I have a location in New Jersey and I have a location in Indiana.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. Um, and then the Dremel coaching, somebody could do that virtually, right?
Yep. I do that all online. Yep. Because it's actually better for them to learn in their home because I
Mm,
actually want them to take care of their dog's nails in their home.
yep. Yep.
So,
I got to check that out because I look at my dog. I mean, I'll go to a groomer like, I don't know, every 4 weeks,
mhm.
5 weeks. But I look at his nails and I'm like, looks a little long there, you know?
Yeah.
And now I'm even more concerned based on what we talked about today. What's your website, Erica?
Um, 4pawsadrift.com. The number four, pawsadrift.com.
Thank you so much for today. Learn so much. And all of us, if you love your dog, who doesn't? It's so important. And I appreciate it. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a great talk.
Same. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.